guys, welcome back to Derby Koi. Now the weekend. Now a couple of things I want to do today, but firstly this morning a bit of a disaster, as I thought, or at some point during the night my main pump to the pond had stopped working. It'd gone off, so I didn't know that until I went out this morning, took Bisley over the park, came back. I thought, alright, I'll give him a bit of food, and then I noticed the main pump wasn't on. So I thought, oh no, my pump's blown, that's all I need. So I thought, right, let's check everything, and then I noticed the UV wasn't on either. So my two switcher boxes here, these two, this power light was on, this power light wasn't. So I knew I was getting power to this one, but I was getting no power to this one. So why this is, I've got mine set up, I've got the power comes into this one via, which one is it, this one here, and you can see via this lead here going in. It powers all those switches, and then my final switch, this last number 5 here, there's a power lead going from that one to that switcher box. So what I did, I thought, fuse, maybe the fuse has gone. So I checked the fuses, everything seemed fine. I got my multimeter out, and I was getting no power to this switcher box. So I assumed then that there was a problem with this switcher box. So I thought, it's blown something inside. The fuse was fine. It's blown the circuit board or something in there is not working. So what I decided, I thought, damn, what am I going to do? So I decided then what I need to do is remove the wire for at least get my main pump up and running into the pond for the main filtration. So I went into my shed, and I was looking for a 3-pin plug and a extension lead, and I was going to wire the main pump straight to a 3-pin plug and plug it in here. And while I was around there, I had a sudden thought, it's strange how the UV is not working either. So I thought just in the off chance, I'll check my float switch. Now my float switch is something I do check on a regular basis. At least once a month I check that my float switch is working via pushing the float switch down so it turns the power off, letting it come back up, power's back on, so I know my float switch is working. And as I say, I do this at least once a month, so I know the last time I did it, which is probably 3 or 4 weeks ago, was it 3 weeks? About 3 weeks ago, it was working. I thought, no, it can't be something like that. So just in the off chance, I come to the pond. Now as you can see, my pond's here. Whether you can see down here, that blue thing is my float switch. Now my water level's up, so I didn't have any, you know, I looked at the water level, I thought, well, it can't be the float switch to drop down, because my water level's up, so that's only going to drop when my water's down. So I thought, well, it can't be that surely. So what I did, I tested it, I pushed it down, lifted it back up, and I didn't hear the ball bearing move. Now for those who don't know, inside a float switch there's a ball bearing inside. When the float switch, depends on which way you got it wired up, when the float switch is up in my case, the ball bearing rolls down to the back, makes contact with the contacts inside, which completes the circuit, gives you power. When the float switch drops, the ball bearing moves away from the contacts, so there is no complete circuit. So when I lifted the float switch up and down in the water, it wasn't making, you can hear the ball bearing move, it wasn't making a noise. So I gave it a quick shake, I heard the ball bearing moved, and my pump came on. Simple fix, thankfully. But I couldn't understand why that had stopped working. The only thing I can think of is at some point during the night, a fish had came round and knocked it, or rolled it, swam over it, or whatever, knocked the float switch down, and for some unknown reason it hadn't popped back up enough, or it wasn't done with enough force to knock it back, to knock the float switch back and the ball bearing back, and it just knocked the float off, the switch off. Can't see any other way that would have happened, because my float switch is up in the air. All I can think is a fish has gone over it, knocked the float switch down, turned the pump off, and as it's come back up, it hasn't popped back up with enough force just to knock that ball bearing back into position. Now, some of these float switches do come with a counterweight, and what you do is you put the counterweight on the bottom of your pond or at a certain level, so when it drops to a certain level, it will drop and then it will float back up. Now, mine hasn't got that. Mine is just a loop of wire, so I may have to try and change that so my float switch is actually more of an upright position, and when the water drops, it will drop more down. But at the moment, mine's more like that sort of thing, so as it drops, it does that. So I may need it more of that angle, so as it drops, it goes down that way. So when it does pop back up, it's more of a diagonal rather than flat. But I do check them on a regular basis, at least once a month. I do a test on it. So for those of you who have got float switches, it might be a good idea just to check on them. I think I'm going to up my regime on it to at least probably once a week for now, you know, especially in the winter when my covers are on and I can't see the water. So I'm going to up my checking of my float switch. As I say, I don't know how long it was off. Hopefully I haven't lost too much beneficial bacteria by not having any flow rate going through or anything like that. I did have my other, this one was still working, this float switch, which runs my skimmer, my pond air, stuff like that. So I still had oxygen going in the water, and I still had my skimmer working, which goes through my upflow, so I was getting that type of filtration, but my main filter was off. So hopefully I haven't lost too much beneficial bacteria by it being off, because I don't know how long it's been off. But yeah, that saved me a bit of an hassle. Just suddenly come into my head, I wonder if it, you know, that's connected to the float switch. When it goes off, it cuts off my main pump and my UV goes off, so I don't blow the UV. Yeah, so I'm assuming that's what happened with the fish. I don't know any other reason why it would have moved. But yeah, it was luckily it was a simple fix. I didn't have to take all the wires out of here and buy the switcher box, which I thought it was originally, and I didn't have to rewire my pump in and all that, so thankfully it was an easy fix in the end. But it's not something I would have thought about initially, because my water level was up. When the pump's off and the power's off, I just assumed, because my water level's off, it hasn't dropped down, I assumed it was something wrong with the switcher box. I'll know for the future, if my pump goes off, first thing to check is the float switch. But it shows it worked. Not by a drop in water, but a fish went over it and it didn't pop back up where it needs to, so that's something I need to look at. How I'm going to alter that so it does pop back up rather than just lie on the surface. It's going to be more of an angle, just so that ball bearing goes back. But even if you are like that, it's still worth testing it just so it doesn't get stuck in that on position. So if it does drop and it's stuck, you know, don't want the ball bearing stuck at the top, it's making the connection, so it's just going to keep going anyway. So it's always handy to just to check that float switch up and down so you can hear the ball bearing moving and it's free moving, it's not getting stuck. So yeah, one disaster averted. Other jobs I've got some other jobs to do today. I'm going to bore you with them at the moment. But round here, what I am going to do now, I don't know if you said in my last video, I can't remember, my water clarity in the bunker now has cleared up. And I've been on the sake Yukari food for a fair while now. That has cleared up a little bit, well, quite a bit to be honest. I don't know if it's in the last video. Whether you can see that or not, the clarity now is much better. So what I'm going to do, I've got some Craig, it's Craig 68. He gave me some JPD. I've got some Shiro and some Shogun. So what I'm going to do, my very unscientific way, I've got my cups, I've got 2 cups, so I'm going to put a little bit of each of these foods in the cup with some water. I'm going to leave for 2 hours, come back, check the water, and then again I'll come back in 18 hours ish, something like that, like it was on the last one, and I'll check it again to check the water. But because there's only a bit of each. There's probably about a week's worth of food in total there for you. Maybe just under, I don't know. I'll mix these together and then I'm going to try the food in here for a week or as long as it lasts. It's not going to be anything with the waste because it's, you know, changing their diet. Their food takes quite a bit of while, at least you know, 3 to 4 weeks for them to get used to food of change. But I just want to see if it affects the clarity of the water in here. Whew, okay guys, it's been just over 2 hours. I've been trying to tidy up the shed. I've given it a bit of a clear out. I've got about 4 or 5 black bags of crap I've had to throw away, and it doesn't look like anything's been done. But that's going to have a major clear out soon. I've got to get everything out, give a thorough clean out, put some new shelving in there, and get that tidied up so I can actually get to stuff. Right, it's been just over 2 hours. It has now been 2 hours 15 minutes. So we'll have a look at this food. So I've got the JPD, the Shogun, and the Shuri. And that's how you say it. I might have said Shira last time. Shuri. But I've got the Shuri. Actually, it's not too bad, especially one better than the other. So I'll spin you around. We'll have a look at these, and obviously this is only just over 2 hours, and I'll come back to this in about 18 hours time. After it's had the 18 hours, so another 16 hours to go. So I'll come back to it then. So let me spin you around and we'll have a look at this. Okay, there you go. That's the Shuri, and that's the Shogun after 2 hours. You can definitely see a difference there in those. That is much better than that one. That's not too bad, to be honest. That's probably a little, I can't remember, but if I can find the picture of the sake after 2 hours, it might be about the same, if not a little bit darker, something like that. But that's really good, that one. But I'm going to leave these now for another 16 or so hours. But I am going to mix these 2 bags together now, so we'll start feeding them with the mix on that for as long as it lasts. But yeah, it's not too bad at all. We'll come back to that a bit later. Okay guys, back in the bunker. It's been about 18 hours. Let's have another look. The Shuri on the left has gone a little bit darker, not much, a little bit darker, and that's gone a bit darker as well, which is the Shogun. So that's about 18 hours now. So yeah, not too bad. The Shuri is definitely better than the Shogun. Now we did feed them on this yesterday. It's their first time using it yesterday, and because of their food change, and if you can see just down there is a little bit of waste down there, but that could be because it's a change of food, sudden change of food on them. But we'll monitor it. I'll clean that up today, and then keep monitoring them and see what waste we get in there. But as I said, the waste it's not the issue. It's mainly is it going to tinge the water. Obviously it's been a day, I haven't noticed anything, but they ate it yesterday, so we'll see how they get on with it. Hi guys, just got in from work. It's been 6 days-ish since I did the food in the glass. They've been on that for about 6 days now. So I'm going to go around to the bunker in a minute. I just want to quickly talk about the main pond. Start of the week I came home. I don't remember saying, I think it was the last video, they'd been flicking and flashing for some unknown reason. And as I said, we've been having the water company doing bits and pieces on the drains around here. So I did water tests, everything was fine. I think it was a nitrate, it was very slightly up, nothing to worry about at the time. Did scrapes, found absolutely nothing on several fish, nothing at all. And then they calmed down, all great. I assumed it was just something in the water, or we had a major downpour at the time, and it was maybe something in the rain, I don't know. But they were fine for 4 or 5 days, no issues. Start of the week, I think it was Monday. Again, they started flashing, and one of them, the Kikuru, was getting quite agitated. Several flicks, one after the other, rolling on the water, not quite jumping out, but you know, virtually leaving the water, virtually. So I thought there's a major issue again, something's gone off again, and we hadn't had that much rain. So again, did water tests, everything seemed fine, no issues there. So I thought, okay, let's do a scrape. First one was the Kikikura scrape. Yeah, Kikikura scraped instantly on as soon as I put the slide on and focused in. I found a trichidemia. I thought, okay, it's just the one, no issue. I moved the slide just slightly, found another one, and then another one, and then another one, and I must have been within the first minute, less than a minute, I must have found 12 to 15 on there. So most of them going pretty slow, but one of them was going like a helicopter across the slide. So I thought, all right, okay, that's the issue I've been having. I obviously didn't find them on the first set of scrapes, but they become more abundant, so okay, it's trichidemia. But I thought I'll check the rest of the slide just in case. So obviously found the trichidemia, just coming to the end of the slide, and then I found fluke. So 2 in 1. There was only one on that slide, but I knew they're obviously in the pond, and I thought, shall I treat for fluke or not? But the weather has said it's going to improve and get a bit warmer. So what I did on the night, I treated the trichidemia first, because that was more of a major outbreak than a fluke. So I treated with that one, finished that treatment. Following day did a water change, quite a big water change, and then I did my fluke treatment. So that was 2 days ago. The fluke treatment went in. They seem absolutely fantastic at the moment. I haven't seen any flicking or flashing. I will treat again in, it does say 14 days, so that's now going to be 10 days, 11 days from now. I will give their second treatment, but I was using Learnex Pro. Now I didn't quite have enough to do 2 full treatments, so what I did, I measured it all out to see how much I had. I halved it, and it was actually whatever was in there, I just halved it completely in half to make 2 doses. I thought, okay, there's not quite enough in here to do my water. I remembered then when I went round to see Glyn, Mad Dog, at Westcroft Coy. He's got his minimum and maximum, and when he treats, he drops the water down to the minimum level, so he knows a set amount of water, and he can do his treatment, and he uses less treatment. And I thought, what a good idea. I haven't got quite enough to do a full treatment, so I worked out what I did have, and I lowered my water in the pond, so I know then I've got enough treatment in there to treat the pond. So that was a really good idea. Didn't quite have enough, so I dropped the water in the pond significantly. I probably dropped about 3 inches out of the pond, 4 inches maybe. And then I did my treatment for the fluke, and once that, the following day, I'd had that good 24 hours in there. I put my I turned my trickle off, and then the following day I turned it back on again, trickle in, and over the whatever days it's been now, 3 days or something, it's brought the water level back up. So I've done a big water change, and I used less treatment. So yeah, that was a good one. Thanks for that, Glyn. Good idea, that. So yeah, that's why I've still got my net on, as you can see in there, and there's a glare on this screen. I don't know if there's a fingerprint on my lens, but still got the net on at the moment, just in case, but I haven't seen any flashing or anything. So yeah, thankfully they're all sorted. So I do need to give them a bit of food. Actually, I'll do that now. I'm going to give them a bit of food, I'm going to clean this lens, and I'll catch you around in the bunker. Okay guys, so round in the bunker. I've been using the mix of the JPD food now for, as I say, about 6 days, something like that. The fish are eating it, not an issue. Water quality I think it's gone down a little bit. It's a slight tinge to the water, or slight cloudiness to the water. Not as clear as it was when it was on the sake, but there is a lot of waste in the bottom still after 6 days. I know it can take 2 to 3 weeks for them to get used to the food, and their digestive systems need time to get used to it, so I'm just going to put it down to that. But I've got to say, when I swapped over to the sake food, I didn't get that much waste from the sake Ikari food. I will spin you around and you can have a look. Don't know how much you're going to see on the water. It's only just very slightly. You may not pick it up on the camera, but you should hopefully be able to see the waste. So let me spin you around and we'll have a look. Okay, there's the fish. It's probably not showing up on here. There is just a very, very slight murkiness, only very slight, nowhere near as clear as it was before to the water. But whether you can see down here or not, let me cover it up a bit. The waste, I do normally get it with, even with the whatever food, if anything food gets trapped, it can get caught in this corner. It's normally just a little bit down there. Again, it's difficult to, I don't know what the camera's picking up on, but as you can see, there's quite a bit down there of waste that I don't know or haven't been getting with the sake Ikari. So yeah, they're eating the food. They're, you know, there's no problems with that. They're eating it. It's not an issue. I'm not saying it's good food, not saying it's bad food, but there is a lot of waste down there. It would be interesting to see after it was like 4 weeks or something, but I haven't got that much food. But as I said, when I changed to the sake Ikari food, there wasn't that much waste. Even after, you know, the first few days, there was not that much within the first few days. Let's say this has been 6 days now, so there's quite a bit down there. Okay, so JPD food. As I said, my tests are not scientific by any means. Nutrients, I have no idea what nutrients go into it and how good they are for the fish. All I can go on is my tests I've run. Obviously did the water test, which you've seen in a glass of water. The clarity, as I said, has gone down slightly, and there is a bit more waste than I have been getting. Again, I'm just that, at the moment I could just put that down to a sudden change in food, but as I said, changing over to sake Ikari, I didn't get that much waste, so I don't know. I have heard good things about JPD food. I don't know about the Shori, but I've heard good things about the Shogun. People are loving it, so price wise I haven't looked into it, but for me, I think price per kilo what I was paying for my other food, now I'm on the sake Ikari balance and Ikari wheat germ mix. I think I'm going to stick to that. It was probably, now I'm using the wheat germ per kilo, it's probably less than £1 more than I was paying per kilo. My water quality has improved. I think the colours in the fish have improved, and I'm getting a lot less waste in the filters and pond as I had before. So yeah, not a very scientific test, I know. But that's it. So yeah, again, thanks to Craig for letting me give me that food to try. I've got a tiny bit left. I've probably got about another day, so I'll use the last of that, and then I'll move them back onto the sake Ikari food. Because it's only a day, I may even mix a bit just so it's not too much, again, too much of a sudden change. I might mix them in to make that last a bit longer, so they've got a bit of both in there for a few days, and then wean them back onto mainly, or just the sake food. So I think that's what I'm going to do anyway. So yeah, hopefully parasites are sorted. So I've got one more treatment for the fluke in the main pond. So yeah, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, hit that bell for your notifications, pop on over to Facebook and Instagram. So until the next one, stay safe, job's a good one.